Moving ahead, we have our very first panel discussion, which has some of the top leaders of the information technology domain. These decision makers are bringing in the change with their knowledge and work every day. The panel discussion topic is how to help boost your profits and benefit your business with hybrid sustainable cloud. An absolute honor to introduce our first eminent speaker, Mr. Jawad Al-Alawi. He is the Director of Information Technology at Al Yusuf Exchanges and Money Transfers. Our second eminent panelist is Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Mugharain. He is the Director of Strategy and Digital Transformation at the Saudi Sports for All Federations, also known as SFA. Our third eminent panelist is Mr. Mohammed Ali Shalan. He is the Head of Technology at Aquarat Real Estate Development Company. And our last eminent panelist is Mr. Ravi Bhaisare. He is Head Cloud Transformation at Reckitt. Last but not the least, we have our eminent panel moderator, Mr. Rami Ayub. He is the Chief Digital Information Officer at Spark Tech. Over to you, Rami, and all the very best to the panelists.
Thank you, Bridget, for the introduction. And I would like to thank also for the chairman and the second deputy of Bahrain Parliament. So today we are living the era of transformation. Okay, the fourth revolution of digital transformation, and how leverage this technology to improve the organization performance and the future, how the future is shaping in this matter. So if we considering clouds and how cloud is playing a key factor in digital transformation, it's a new adopting business culture today, how cloud are using to be as a new strategy for all businesses. So all the business culture are changing today to invest more in the cloud, to build their strategy, their future planning, the budgeting, and so on, based in this solution. So today we are going to discover with the specialist in the panel how the cloud playing a key factor in our daily life, and the type of cloud, the model, how the business operating with the cloud, and what is next using the cloud in the coming future. So I'd like here to introduce our respected panelists. I will start with Master Mohammed Al-Shalan, the Head of Technology at Aquarat Real Estate Development Company. Welcome, Mohammed.
Most welcome. Thank you for hosting me.
And we have also Mr. Ravi Bhaisare, Head of Cloud Transformation at Reckitt. Hi, Ravi.
Hi, Rami. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon.
Hi, everyone.
I would like to welcome also Jawad Al-Alawi, Director of Information Technology at Al Yusuf Exchange and Money Trading. Welcome, Jawad.
Hi, Rami. Hi, everyone.
And Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Mugharain, Director of Digital Transformation at Sport for All Federation. Welcome, Abdul Aziz.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen. Today, as here in the discussion, and we are in the summit, we are going to discover more, and I would like to share your experiences, your best practices, and how today we are era digital transformation era using cloud. So we need to know how cloud is so important today. What is the benefit? What is the other side of the cloud? People, maybe they hear cloud everywhere, but they don't have the deep what is the cloud exactly and how they are helpful. So I would like to point the first question to Ravi. So Ravi, in your opinion, okay, What is the recent involvement of the cloud today, and how to look and shape for tomorrow future? So what is the role of hybrid cloud in this matter?
So I think very, very good question, Rami. Probably I'll break your question into two parts. So first, to understand first part of your question as is how the cloud has evolved, so that our audience know and everybody can appreciate the need of the cloud, right? So I think in recent few years, right, there has been a great recognition of the cloud as more than an efficient storage solution, right? It was earlier always used to be considered as one of the storage solution. Now we know that it's not just a storage solution, like rather it is a platform, right, for generating the data and applying the innovative solution by leveraging the data, right? So we need to, we have realized currently that yes, it's a platform which has capability to generate a lot of data. And 2020 and 2021, right? These are the key years which brought a lot of cloud adoption in terms of either public cloud or private cloud. Obviously, we are moving from private to public, and a hybrid cloud as well. And obviously, the remote working has helped a lot in terms of digital workplace, which is one of the adoption force behind the cloud transformation what we are seeing. Now, if we have to look at right how the cloud has trend or reshaped over a period of time, I think one of the key change which has happened is more and more cloud is getting adopted as one of the various model, like either infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service, right? So these are various models which exist, and software as a service is the key trend which is going to be there. And to quote a number, right, by 2021, we would see 30% of the product applications might move on to software as a service, which itself is very huge, right? And within the software as a service, there will be machine learning, which will be very much integral part of it. So you'll be hard pressed to, really find a SaaS solution which is not labeled as intelligent, right? So almost all the SaaS offering today, what we see by another couple of years, it will be all labeled. And so that is one of the trend which we clearly see. And then what cloud has done is it has democratized the AI, right? It has removed the entry barrier for the companies who are struggling to get onto the AI. So that is one of the major advantage what we see, or the trend what we see. Another trend which is clearly visible is cloud is bringing more containerization of the application, right? So you can container it and you can use it as a consumable service. And the serverless applications are also coming. So these are various trends which are coming. Now the second part of your question was on to answer, what is the role of hybrid cloud, right, onto this. Now, first we need to understand the organization do recognize the benefit and challenges of public cloud and private cloud both, right? So what it means is hybrid brings best of the both world, right? It brings those advantages of cost, security, and agility to us. Hence, for like easy and effective value realization, organization would tend to go for a hybrid cloud first, and then slowly they will launch onto the public cloud. That's the way I see it.
Thanks, Ravi. It's a valid point and good explanation. That's a cloud today is playing a major role, not only as a storage or just to post the data there. It's a playing factor for decision making, for performance enhancement, and so on, productivity. So this has led me to the next question. I'll ask Mr. Mohammed. Today, we are living and we're hearing many projects working around, regarding smart solutions, smart cities, and etc. So how hybrid cloud or cloud in general play a role in this?
Yeah, actually, from my side, actually, what I see is smart cities like playing a very crucial role, because as it has been said multiple times, actually, like this real estate sector is the motivator for other sectors, because it touches everyone in his daily life. And what's going on actually when we are talking about smart cities today, it's really replacing the traditional cities or traditional districts and buildings that we live in. And the reason for this actually we have a lot of services that a lot of technologies and cloud technologies that is required so that we can run a smart city. And these technologies can be changed actually like in very few weeks or months. We have to change these technologies to cope up with the people. And in here, we see that these kind of cloud services that we are utilizing, it utilizes the full stack of the layers of the cloud, starting from the perception layer, where it's connecting with the devices, going to the network layer. That is, we are having the IoT devices and sensors and all of these. Then we go to the support services where we embed additional services on top of the initial network. And then we have the application layer where we can interface with the end user and add a lot of features for him. Talking to this actually, for example, taking a smart parking as an example, or a connected car, or even anything actually, you'll find that we need to maintain connectivity and map it in a very huge manner, as well in different manner to serve every part of the business or every part of the smart city. And in this also, we need to add the security layers actually to it, so that it will not be used by bad actors who can smuggle the data or do whatever we are not happy to do. So in this, by taking all of this actually, then we are talking that additionally to this, we have some criteria to manage. For example, we need to manage the privacy of the systems of the networks. We need to have a kind of interaction between multiple stakeholders. In a smart city, you will have citizens, you will have business, you will have government, and you will have visitors coming to utilize these services. So it's a huge number of stakeholders. Additionally, you are talking about cost-effective solutions, because this is like a daily solution that is used by everyone. All of this actually, in addition to this, we are talking about something that can be easily integrated, and it can be composed with different services, with different components every time. So this takes us to why we need a hybrid cloud in the smart city, because these kind of services cannot be maintained in one kind of cloud. For example, if I use only private cloud, it will not support me for all these services, because it's managed by single operation and sometimes it cannot fit. Similarly, if I do community cloud, will help me in certain activities, but do not help for everything. So that's why we utilize sometimes also public cloud. And in here comes what's called the hybrid cloud, where we utilize all these services, all the cloud services in different ways, so that we serve the main purpose of a smart city. And by this, we have our required capabilities, and at the same time, that requirements and these capabilities can be elastically provisioned, released, and automatically actually upgraded at a certain time. Also, we can measure also and automate the controls, because in here you have sensitive data, you have something that's affecting crucial and services, and you need, of course, to monitor all these activities. And here comes this why hybrid cloud is providing all these activities. And when we are talking that this hybrid cloud is providing these controls, these services, it's at the same time it's adding a lot of features like reduce spending, reduce cost, and the access every time, every minute. So there is a lot of issues that we can use and utilize, and we also can lower the barriers for the entry of the services into a smart city utilizing this kind of hybrid cloud. And here, this is like a live example how and why we utilize hybrid cloud in smart cities, rather than using only one type of cloud that is used in certain other activities or certain other businesses. So I hope this covers the utilization of hybrid cloud in the smart city.
Exactly, Mohammed. So yeah, as you mentioned, to implement a smart city and smart solution, and we need a smart infrastructure which can be capable to capture such solution and such capacity and demand, especially for cities with a crowd number of livings there or residents. So here also, cloud as a service is a good implementation and a smart solution. But here we need at the same time to have a secure channel to secure this information and to secure the transit between these services. So here I'd like to ask Jawad here, how security is very important for such implementation when we are considering a cloud solution, and especially when we are dealing with hybrid cloud. Okay, so we need two times security between on-premise and in public. So how we can accomplish this?
Thank you, Rami, for inviting me to answer this question. When we go to talk about the hybrid cloud, it's the time we speak about two different environments. An environment that is run internally inside the company, inside what we call it the corporate infrastructure, which are administrators and the IT teams, all having full control over it. And an environment outside the premises, out there, where we don't have a control over it, and we need to mix our applications access, our data access between both, from both sides. So when we talk about the security aspect of channeling for the data between the local environment and the cloud and taking hybrid service, it depends on the people experience. When you speak with anyone about implementing the hybrid cloud, the decision makers are those top are signing the checks. And it depends on their impressions, although it's no question today that people will use the cloud to store their data and to host their applications. However, still the influence of the people on the top of the organization will impact that kind of decision. And whenever, if they have a bad experience somewhere sometime back, their phones or their data got breached, or they got a threat problem, they will consider the cloud is completely insecure, and they will push most of the decisions to be in-house. Unlike the other executives who have less experience of being breached and having more agile thinking to go onto the cloud, they will be more ready to accept the risk of varying and aligning the security between the cloud and the internal premises. And when we look to the cloud and the internal premises, always you are handling majorly two parts. Either you have applications or you have data. And sometimes they are in one component, your applications and your data. So when you are extending your environment, you call it hybrid by just renting servers from the internet, from the service providers like Azure, AWS, and others. Then you are not taking the cloud, you are just renting another hardware somewhere else, and you are attaching it when your network, people will call it the cloud. So it is completely your own risk. Whenever you have an external servers, just as additional hardware, they are like your internal servers. They will need the full process that you do internally to do it externally. Even if it's just a single server, you have to follow your policies and guidelines to put all those servers under the proper control. And whenever you are taking a SaaS applications, which is something like CRM or call centers from companies, for example, Salesforce and others, then you are putting your data and giving the access of the application and everything to that company who have developed that software and even implemented all types of security. So when you assess your need for the security of that application, you assess the qualification of that company, how secure it is, and how you can use it. And again, that is a service outside your network. Unless you link it with your internal systems, then it will be a hybrid cloud, and you will need a kind of security. The hybrid cloud mostly comes on when you want to extend your data outside your premises, or to shift part of your internal applications outside your premises. Here, when we say that here you are on a hybrid cloud, okay? So the environment that you are getting from the cloud, either to be a controlled environment or open environment. When you are getting a controlled environment, it means that the service provider who are giving you a document management storage or a data storage database or applications is providing you with a predefined set of policies, controls, access levels, certificates, firewalls. That one is defined. Or he will give you the same like servers. They will give you the service and you go, you put your own policies, procedures, develop your processes within it, which again, extra cost on you rather than what you have implemented inside your environment. Okay? And sometimes you will have the ability to set your policy, security policy and escalation matrix on those applications on the cloud, and you adopt your internal processes within them securely. And sometimes you will not have the ability and you need to go in a process and procedural changes or to get out of the idea of installing that kind of outside the cloud. And some of the data, some of those applications which are coming, when you take it, coming only with administration access and you go, you do your own kind of security and as we call it, do it yourself, okay? There is no service provided, do all the security yourself. So here we come up that what is the traditional approach, okay? So the traditional approach that most of the security teams are focusing on is to ensure that they have proper firewalls installed there, their VPN is set up properly, their access control boundaries for the applications, for the service environments are properly set and in place, including they put another large focus on establishing a good measures of who is to access data, who is to access applications, if it's coming outside from the cloud or from inside, and making sure that no kind of social engineering will be able to hit in through any of the user's PCs to get to your systems and to your environments. And just social engineering is a security term. We use it when somebody trying to use the identity of other to hack their phone or device and use it to access data that they are not allowed to use it. We call it social engineering. So that's the measures that most of the administrators will focus on. However, the result of focusing on those basic measures that bad users inside your organization will continue to use their bad behavior, like sticking their passwords on the monitor or storing their passwords in Excel sheet, which again, it's not the password controls, and they exchange it between emails and they give it to others. They put it in a shared, in a floppy, in a flash drive, etc. So here are the behaviors that you need to look into it as it is within your environment. When you move to the cloud, the same behaviors you need to monitor, and you have to do more to control it and to stop it. Which we come to the last thing about this, what we call it the governance. So when you are opening your systems to the external environment and adding it as a cloud, whether it's a private cloud or public cloud, you are open to the outside. You are not secured properly. Here it's coming that the governance, your governance procedures, your IT governance that control that kind of access is the most important part. And your governance need to focus on two major parts: the users and the developers. The development team are one of the most vulnerable areas always within your organization, because developers doesn't like restrictions you put it on them. The same thing with the users, they doesn't like the restrictions you put on them. So governance over these two teams, which are the majority, need to be properly and need to be driven from the top. Thank you.
Thanks, Jawad. Very insightful. Of course, while you are working with the cloud, we need to consider the security part, especially with the third party or in hybrid model, where you need to replicate your external and organization policy to the public. Abdulaziz.
Especially maybe when you are talking
yes.
about critical infrastructure like smart cities or something like this. So yes, Jawad is a very valid point.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. To come to Abdulaziz, okay. Abdulaziz, as you know, as we are technical people, cloud has helped us a lot in terms of administration, especially for transferring the responsibility to the third party. But if we look at from management perspective, either from the owners, stakeholders, and so on, when you promote for them a cloud solution profit side, so how we can as a business generate a profit from cloud, and how we can achieve these profit goals?
Thanks, Rami. Two major key players, in my opinion, risks and opportunities. Transition is not about do we want it or not, it's about are we ready or not. At some point in the near future, I believe everyone will be in the cloud. It gives you an easier way to integrate, collaborate, and on the future. It could be the only way to collaborate on the near future. Cloud services could get cheaper as more competition and users starts to depend. As a start, it's ideal to pursue the best practice for cloud implementation. However, the infrastructure is very critical. The right infrastructure can help ease the process of implementing a hybrid cloud solution. In many cases, the infrastructure needs a lot of investment to optimize. That's why it's critical to prepare a healthy, agile infrastructure that would serve long-term. We can monetize data by simply selling it. A report by Infosys Knowledge Institute, IKI, shows that $414 billion in net new profits annually through effective cloud adoption. 2,500 business executives across the US, UK, France, Germany, Australia, and New Zealand participated in this report. We are looking at a technology that stimulates innovation and offers scalability. Who doesn't want that? Since the cloud services help collect and analyze data, some companies might be interested for such information and willing to buy it. So giving access to data integration with third parties, and that's direct money generating stream. What I think entities should focus on is the long-term objective. Collecting clean data and building it over time is the key part. Big data then becomes more valuable. Entities can look at the data to make accurate decisions that are data-driven, enhance their product based on consumer needs. Knowing the distribution geographically for your end user over time can be helpful to decide where to expand. So this is a game changer, and it can only be done via hybrid cloud.
Thanks, Abdulaziz. It's really that's management or decision maker. They should look to it as a long time or long-term investment. How they return from or transform from capex to opex. Okay, so they should build a profit analysis skills within their organization, how to generate from the cloud in many aspects. Cloud might be in some countries are costly, but if you look at as what is the return and reflect in the business, they should look at to that value aspect, from security, from administrations, the required skills to run a data centers. It's not easy to have all the skills in one location. So you should put that in consideration. So here, this vision led me to ask Muhammad that today the demand is expanding on the cloud, and we see many startups, many organizations, many services, they are looking for a cloud in terms of hosting or instead of adopt these services by themselves. So to build this need with the suppliers, with the provider, we need a strong governance and contracting. So what is the model and what is the approach to get a strong contracting with the providers?
Yeah, actually, this is really very interesting question, and really because now when you are talking about multiple layers going into any solution or into any scenario, then you are talking about multiple, different service, different orchestration that is required. And here, this is coming to what's called strong governance and strong or innovative contracting. And this we are facing actually this exactly when we are planning for smart city. So when we are planning for smart city as a master developer, the company that I am working in, usually when we make master development, we are talking about 2-3 contractors usually that can take the whole project for 2-3 years, and that's it. Today, we are talking in smart cities, we are talking about 100 contractors or even more. And we also come into the development operationals, which is DevOps, the same like what we have in the programming. We have DevOps actually today because we have multiple contractors coming in. And looking also into the landscape itself, actually, for the smart city and for these activities, for example, we find, for example, first of all, that the cloud computing has been adopted by various sectors, and there's a lot of applications, services, components that need orchestration. As well, there's different service delivery models between different vendor to another. So all these things have some kind of challenge for us. The other thing is we have multiple providers for the clouds. For example, today when we are talking about hybrid clouds, we are talking about global vendors like Microsoft, Amazon, Equinix, and others. Also, we have internal vendors like STC or Mobile or other vendors who should work on the ground for something like fog computing or edge computing that's required for smart cars, for example. And also, we are talking about some operators here in Saudi Arabia. Maybe there was a licensing for what's called VNOs, who are the virtual network operators to provide the IoT layer and supporting sensors. So this is like we have multiple players coming into the arena. Similarly, when you talk about all these layers, then you are talking about multiple quality of service metrics and parameters that's coming, multiple service level agreements that's coming here and there, in addition to what we have inside from your employees and your internal staff, something like this. All of this actually, in addition to what we have of some kind of federated cloud models and the vendors, the standard issues, because the regulation for and standardization for cloud and hybrid cloud, still it's not that much mature. So everyone will have few cents that is coming into the service and making this kind of services. So these parameters, actually, what we have, then we have a lot of, let's say, challenges, a lot of players, and this comes us to how we can control all this kind of heterogeneous hybrid services. And here we go to 2 dimensions. One dimension as strong governance, as my colleague said just right now, and the other point is how we contract with all these vendors, and so that all these vendors will work in harmony. When we need to contract with these vendors, and what kind of contracting, because some people will dictate the contract. For example, if you are going to AWS or Microsoft, they are dictating their contracts and they have a kind of either sign or do not take the service. But others, there are some local vendors, you can negotiate some terms. So all of this actually gives us to how you negotiate with all these vendors so that you get the service that is orchestrated for you and to serve your purposes. And here, for example, when we are talking in this, we are talking, let's say, on the quality of service parameters and how you control it, the SLAs and how you sign all the SLAs with these contractors. When you talk to also to SLA, for example, it will different. It will what is the correlation between all these types of SLAs, so that you know. And also here that comes sometimes what we call the experience level agreement, which is XLA, which is a new term because I don't want to have just an SLA and that is not really experiencing what I'm feeling, because the customer may be facing some issue, but the SLA is fine because it's not designed properly. So we need the user himself, the end user, and the smart city, the citizen in the smart city to express his feelings. Is he happy with the service or not? So, and here this is the new term for XLAs. Also, we have talking about service level objectives, meaning that is it a time of what objectives we put in the contract? Is it a contract issue or is it an appendices? It's an outline where, when, how we sign the agreement. And also we talk to another level, which is operational legal agreement, level agreement, OLAs, where it's defined also in the contracts. All these parameters actually was not before. If you are talking about few years, these all parameters was not mentioned anywhere. They were not mentioned in the contracts. They were not mentioned in anywhere. And today it's part so that you can take in the service and you can contract the vendor to have the service in time. And because, for example, the termination of the service, this is also a very important condition. How to terminate a service, on which parameters I can terminate, what are my obligations. And also we look at the certain other issue for is vendor lock-in. For example, if I have vendor lock-in for a certain time and then I cannot change the service and my customers are not happy, how can I do and how I can act to all these parameters? So these parameters in total and in all, because I'm serving a customer who, if I'm a master, as a master city, for example, I'm the orchestrator of all these contractors. I'm the orchestrator of all these services. And by the end of the day, they were saying, okay, you are the manager for the whole the whole symphony. So how you orchestrate this? So this is coming to what we are calling today is innovative contracting. We have to contract very well. We have to put a lot of newly service level parameters and agreements that's coming into the in the arena, so that we can orchestrate and manage the whole structure. As well, we have some challenges with our own internal staff or with our own citizens in the district, the users. So all these things actually should have been adopted in somehow that it is not rigid. So it is it's killing innovation, and at the same time it's agile enough but controlled in certain manner. And this is maybe the difficult part, is how you can imagine and orchestrate between the agility and between rigidity and innovation. So this is in how you there are some terms that I have mentioned in here, like innovative contracting, like other terms, other agreements. That's I see it's very important why we are orchestrating and organizing between all these vendors for hybrid cloud, for other services as well. So this is my insights in this. I think it's a very important topic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mohammed. Yes, we understand how critical this practice. As we knew, we need to understand and we need to study well the SLA, the OLA before we sign any contract. What is expected from the vendor? What is the deliverable elements? How the implementation? We need to engage multiple party within the organization. It's not a one-man decision, as from business perspective. Their angle, what is the return of the profit also from the provider, what they are going to deliver. So it's a risky part, how to have a genuine contract. And this is also what we need to consider. Ask the next question to Ravi. As an IT leaders, okay, we are only looking for solutions, okay, how from technical part, how we can implement certain system. We look at it to have the best option or the best or high level of demand, okay, on technology and implementation. As you know, cloud solution is dedicating the right capacity in the cloud, assigning the device either on a premise or over public. So how leaders, IT leaders, can balance between spend and to govern also delivered in the right matter.
So, Mohammed and even others talk about the smart cities and IoTs of the world, right? And the need of us to have lot many cloud providers than single, right? So we also talked about the contracts, various vendors who will implement, right? So there are lot many contractual element, lot many outcomes that we are expecting out of the cloud currently, right? Now, obviously, it comes with an investment, right? It doesn't come free. Even though we say that, we want to go to public cloud or hybrid cloud, it comes with its own investment. While we understand that cloud is an pretty much integral part of current business continuity need, right? We know for our organizational growth or unlock the organizational growth, we need to hop on the cloud. Now the question is, how do we really measure, and come up with the cost that basically we are investing in it, vis-a-vis what is the advantage that we are getting out of the cloud, right? So to understand, I certainly, there are so many parameters you can talk about, but at least I pick up 2 or 3 parameters which we should first consider as an outcome of cloud in terms of what is the cost advantage that we are getting by moving onto a public or hybrid cloud. That is one bucket where you can measure what is the spend that you are having in terms of capex and opex, right? So what we can do is we can put up various KPIs which measures the capex and opex out of our spending of public versus private versus hybrid cloud, and see how can we balance our investment vis-a-vis ROI, right? So that is one clear area. And the second area, which is more important as well, is the agility, right? And it's slightly very difficult to measure. Why we are talking all about cloud is it gives us an agility, it gives us an ability to expand or scale up or scale down as per the business demand, right? For example, there's a Black Friday sales going on, right? You want to have your system scaled up suddenly and scale down suddenly now, or probably you want to reach to a different country or region altogether in no time. You cannot go and build a server and infrastructure, and you cannot wait for that. That's how, let's say, your business is set up. Cloud gives us that flexibility and that agility. Now, we need to put up, from a business benefit point of view, what are we getting out of by implementing the cloud, right, on public cloud, and see how this agility is helping us, right? That is one of the return on investment as well, which we should measure. And the third most important aspect, which we all acknowledge, is innovation that cloud brings in. Very difficult to measure. However, we are talking about IoTs, we are talking about automations, we are talking about AI, ML capabilities that cloud can bring in, right? And it certainly saves the human capital. It certainly increases or improves the productivity. Now, putting KPIs for the innovations and the benefit that cloud provides in those terms also can be looked at very closely to see the business benefits vis-a-vis the cloud spend what we are having. One more point which I think we should consider very closely is, given there are discussions which are happening increasingly over the environmental goals and sustainability targets by all the organizations today's world. By migrating onto the cloud, definitely we are reducing the carbon footprint, right? We are ensuring that at a minimum carbon footprint, we are achieving our goal. That also adds to our ROI. However, adding all this investment versus ROI, if we don't do a right level of reporting, right level of governance, and optimization once we implement, I don't think that everything will get a waste, right? So what we need to do is to set up the FinOps process, which can measure, monitor, and optimize on an ongoing basis the various investment that we do on the cloud. That's how the IT leaders can manage it better.
Thanks, Ravi. It is very pressure will be in the IT leader. It's not easy decision when they're planning for moving to the cloud. And this is what make us also from technical part why we are planning and take the decision to migrate to cloud. So there is to do this. It's not only a click, just move to cloud. It should be going gradually in stages. So Jawad, in your opinion, what do you think the right elements or the right steps shall be taken when we consider migrating the existing business application, the system over a cloud?
Thank you for this question, Rami. And I would appreciate to start from what Muhammad said previously, which is the innovated contracting and SLA. That one is, let us put it between quotes and use it within the context of my speech. So first element we need to consider here is what is allowed and what is not allowed to put on the cloud. When you are migrating your data and applications, depend on your sector. For example, our sector, which is the finance and banking sector, the regulator, the Central Bank of Bahrain here in Bahrain, is not allowing anything to go on the cloud and anywhere. There are specific requirements and there are specific cloud providers that you can deal with to put your data and systems on, and it depends on what data on that system. And there is the privacy rules and the privacy law that was issued in 2018 in Bahrain as well. So the first thing you need to consider is what to put in the cloud and what you cannot put in the cloud. So aside from this, let me say your success story. When you want to put something in the cloud, you need a success story within your organization. You don't want to start with a failing project. So you need to understand, you need to learn the appetite and the acceptance of your business teams, and which application and which business team is the most agile and most accepting teams within your organization to accept moving their processes and data and systems to the cloud. And they will be your ambassadors for your word of mouth within the rest of the organization. You need to look for this team first of all before jumping to others, because those are your real ambassadors before you are giving it to others. Okay. The other factor, the second one, is to assess the need for that first team and first application. And without training, without migration, your system will, your migration to the cloud will face obstacles that are outside of your boundary of technology issues. Unless you are in charge of the training department, then training the users to use the cloud application is a different story that either will make you fail or will make you success. That's a big part of where you need to decide to start your migration if you haven't started. And if you already have started and has been hit with the issues and failed 1 to 2 times, you know the value of this type. Then the third factor, stop wasting your time to think alone about what is the minimum change to apply on the migrated applications and to change on the user experience and on the process. There will be a change. There is no way that you will put application or system on the cloud without changing the processes, the procedures, and changing the user experience. Stop that way of wasting your time. It is a waste of time, and don't put your time on it. Just think on how to minimize the impact, not to minimize the changes. Okay, then the point number 4 is study, write, review the process of the applications or the systems that you are taking to the cloud. Every API connecting your application and system will impact you. Every shared folder that is being accessed with the organization, and there might be some kind of documents linked within your application, will impact your migration. Every automated email that's linking to your email server will impact you. Every SMS gateway and blah, 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 up to the end. So every single component that are interacting with your application and system will impact your migration.
Thanks, Jawad. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
I think we are tight with time. Thank you. Very insightful. We cannot close it. It's a wide discussion, a wide area. I'd like here, I thought we missed Abdulaziz, but he's back again. If Abdulaziz, can you end up this session with last point? It's a cloud solution, is a big project, and moving to cloud not easy. If you can, in 2 minutes, just explain how we can speed up this process.
Absolutely, thanks, Rami. If we look at this as a project, we would need a full complete cycle of dependencies. I'm referring to the right budget, reliable vendor, allocating time, infrastructure, and what I believe is the most important part for such transition is the change management plan. Usually for these big transformation projects, it starts with the idea from top management, then approval from leadership, but what about the employees? Are they aware of this type of change? If they aren't fully aware and trained, what do you think will happen? Will they support this transition to the cloud 100%, or they might resist it? Is the new system easy to use? Also, the reason for such transition is critical to distribute among employees. Some entities are happy with their revenue and some are non-profit. So I believe it's important to have a plan that onboard all stakeholders, walk them with the why and how, adding training when needed, show the risk and missed opportunities if they don't transition, show the advantage to the employees when this transition is complete. All these points should add lots of value and therefore speeds up the implementation of the hybrid cloud solution.
Thank you so much, Abdulaziz. I would like to thank all the panelists. I really is very useful. It is a very key factor today while we are doing transforming the business for better vision, better goals. How to make a sustainable hybrid cloud. So I wish by end of the summit that that delivered a useful for the audience, a useful value, so they understand how it is work. And nothing left, just to thank you for participating. And I would like to transfer this session to Bridget.
Well, thank you very much, dear panelists, Javed, Abdulaziz, Muhammad, Ravi, and our eminent panel moderator, Rami, for the extremely insightful panel discussion on hybrid sustainable cloud, and also for taking time out for the summit to share your impeccable knowledge on cloud. So thank you so much for joining us today, you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.